Perfect. Okay, welcome everybody. So we're here to do a session on making the most of your UCAS fair. As you all know, you've had invitations to attend the one in London at the Excel Centre. And we're very lucky to have Aberystwyth, I've just been taught how to say that, University.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to just crack on really quickly because I'm sure we're all really busy with lunchtime and everything. But in this session, I'm going to be looking at making the most of your UCAS fair. So a lot of you are probably starting to think about whether university is the right choice, if there's ever options, degree apprenticeships straight into the world of work, just getting a job, whatever it may be. There's a lot of different opportunities available to you at the moment, and ultimately it's about you doing your research and finding out what is the best option for you. So a lot of you are probably thinking, well, where do I start? So I'm just having technical difficulties, 1 second. So where do we start? So ultimately you need to start by asking yourself a few questions. First up, obviously, it's going to be what course. Ultimately, you need to start thinking about what sort of subject area are you looking at? Are you looking at doing it one subject or two subject? Is there something really obvious that you really enjoy, or is there something that you're thinking you've never tried before and you may want to start? But how do you sort of like siphon that down to one particular choice? You also need to start thinking about what sort of university, and there are so many different universities that you could apply to. So for example, us at Aber, we're on the Welsh coast, so we're right by the beach. A lot of other universities are right in the heart of cities. So what do you want from your university? You might also want to ask yourself, what other things do I enjoy? So you may have extracurricular hobbies or things that you do that may be really integral parts of your life and that you don't want to give up. So an example I always give is if someone's really interested in sailing, I'm probably not going to advise them to move to the Midlands because it's the furthest you can get from large bodies of water that you can possibly get. But exactly the same as if someone is really interested in sort of being in the heart of the city, able to go shopping, to gigs, just get around the city really easily to do whatever they want. It's probably best for them to be looking at city-based universities rather than campus-based. But what is the correct option is completely up to you. Extracurricular activities can also impact on what course you're interested in and what you're looking to pursue as a career. So it's really important to consider them as well. You might want to also ask yourself, what do I enjoy about the subject? Now, hundreds of universities will offer thousands of different courses. So it's really important for you to be finding the right course for you. Now, you may have 50 universities all with the same course title or very similar course titles, but the actual content of the course hugely differs depending on which university you go to, based on which academics are working there, what their specialisms are, and so on and so forth. So it's really important that you find what you enjoy about the subject that you're looking to pursue and make sure the course is covering that. Career goals is also a huge one because, again, if you've got a particular career goal in mind, a particular course may be really important to you. And finally, work experience and further research. Again, these may be things that are integral parts to your university application process. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is it's never too early to start your research, and your UCAS fair could be the place to start it. So by going prepared in advance, knowing what you're going to ask, knowing who you're going to speak to, it can be really help with sort of the decision-making process for you. So what to expect? Now, these are actual pictures of our stand at Aber. Now, obviously, each university will have separate stands, but your UCAS fair at the Excel Centre will look very similar to this. So it will be in that huge room with thousands of people in it and hundreds of different universities with different sort of stands there to answer any questions that you have, give more information about the university, about the course, and they are ultimately there to answer any questions that you have. Some stands may have additional options, so you may see there in the left-hand picture there are some water bottles in the back. So there are ways that universities will use to entice people in, but ultimately what they are there for is to answer your questions about the course and the university. So how do you decide? So as I said about deciding on your course, it's ultimately about you thinking about, what do you want from the course? What do you enjoy? Is there anything additional that you need extracurricular? And what are my career goals? What can I get from the courses that I'm applying to? And you can ask these questions of the people at the UCAS, okay? The people on the stands like me, you can say to them, right, well, I am interested in law, or I'm interested in business, or I'm interested in forensic psychology. What does that course entail at your university? And where do your alumni, so the people who have graduated from your course, where have they gone? What are they interested in? Where are they going now? Have you got any sort of people that you can really talk about from that course? Some ways you can find the right course for you is by doing a bit of research beforehand. So you may want to look into the courses that are available via the UCAS website. So believe it or not, these are all courses that you can apply for at Aberystwyth University. Now, I can guarantee that none of you at the moment are doing a specific A-level or BTEC in exactly these courses with the exact same curriculum or content on them. So it's sometimes important for you to think a little bit wider outside the box, and ultimately going to university is about you developing the skill and knowledge in the subject that you love or that you're pursuing. So you really want to make sure it's covering the areas that interest you. So ways you can start. So it's important to do some research in advance about the courses and the universities you're interested in. The UCAS website is a really great place to start, and I'll show you in a minute how you can go about doing that. It's also important for you to go and work out a list of the universities you really want to speak to. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go and speak to some other universities while you're there that may not be on your list, because there will be some that will stand out to you and you'll think, oh, I hadn't heard about them, I want to find out a bit more, and they may become the university that is the option that you go for. But ultimately, by going at the start with a list of the universities you really want to speak to, you know that you're speaking to the right people and finding out the information that you really need from sort of the session that you're going to. So it's really important that you do a bit of research in advance and know what universities are offering the course or the courses that you're interested in, basically, so you're not wasting your own time. You might also want to check the activity programme that UCAS put on. So UCAS put on a number of different talks and interactive sessions throughout the day. So it might be worth having a little look to see if any of them are relevant to you and that you might want to attend, because as I said, they're at different times during the day, so you want to make sure that you're not missing them. This again can be a really good opportunity to speak to experts from the universities, potentially speak to academics from specialist courses. So it is well worth looking at the activity programme before you get there as well, again, so you can just plan ahead. And finally, you can also use the event to get more detailed answers on sort of a wider variety of questions. So outside of just your typical, what does the course entail? Is there industry links? You know, just the sort of general, you can also ask yourself and ask the people on the stands some other questions. So things like, what type of university are you? How is the course structured? How many hours will I be taught? How is it assessed? You might also want to think a little bit wider and ask about sort of support that is available for students. You also might want to find out about accommodation. If you're planning on moving away from home, this is really important, because ultimately you're going to be needing to find somewhere to live. So finding out about accommodation support and the options available is really important. It also can help to find out how much it costs, because that also may impact your decision. And also just more generally about the university. So what extracurricular sort of societies and clubs are available, just more generally about the university. But you can go with some questions in mind that you want to answer, so you don't waste your time speaking to someone about and not having the answers that you need ultimately at the end of it. Because We as recruitment officers, as people who are attending the fairs on behalf of the universities, we want to give you the information that's ultimately going to help your final decisions. We're not there to lie to you, we're there to give you honest answers, but we don't know what information you need unless you ask us. So, where to start with your research? UCAS is always a good place to start. If you haven't been on the UCAS website already, I would suggest going on it. This is the main page of UCAS at the moment. So you can see here, it's very obvious from the get-go that you can explore your options for your future. So it's not just university and college courses that are on here. There's also advice and guidance about apprenticeships and other sort of future progression opportunities you may want to pursue. But going with the university courses and the higher education college courses, in this bar here, this nice blue bar right in the center of the screen, you can type in any sort of course, subject area, anything really, and any course that has that linked to within any UK university that has that linked within their course curriculum will come up. So say you wrote in maths or you wrote in physics, all of the courses that link to those areas will come up, okay, at every single university. So once you've done that, from there, you may want to have a little look on the university website. So for example, this is Aberystwyth University's website, and you can see here we have all of our courses. You can search for them with the search function up here, or you can look at them in alphabetical order, and all of these expand out in a concertina effect. So you can see all of the courses that we have under those areas and under those letters when you're looking at universities. The other thing you might want to do is go onto the individual course pages. So for example, this is law, and just straight off you can see some really key information from the university web pages. So you can see the type of degree that you're applying for. So you can see here, this is an LLB honours course. Some universities will have BA courses, others will have BSc courses. So the type of course really does depend on what the focus of the course is. So if you're doing a Bachelor of Arts or a BA course, you'll have an arts-based focus. If you're doing a BSc or a Bachelor of Science, you'll have a science-based focus to your curriculum. And then LLB is a little bit unique to law. It means something in Latin, which I won't butcher because I can't speak Latin. But basically it means you've done part of your bar exams alongside your academic studies while studying law. So you can see that. You can find out what the entry requirements are. So at ABBA, we go off UCAS tariff points. Now your A-levels, BTECs, whatever you're studying at the moment, will likely sort of become UCAS tariff points or be equal to UCAS tariff points. So our courses are typically 104 to 128 UCAS points, which is around about 3 Bs at A level. Okay, you can see the course duration, and you can also see how to apply if you want to go through that way. If you go further down the page, you'll find out more about the course overview, the modules, careers that you may pursue and that graduates have pursued, student testimonials, typical entry requirements. There's far, far, far more information on each of the individual course pages on university websites. This is not unique to ABBA, so it's a really good place to start. And you can also see on the right here some more general information about accommodation, fees and finance, so on and so forth. So you really may want to have a little look on the university websites before you even get to the UCAS fair, just to have yourself prepared. You also might want to make some other considerations, and again, you can find out more about these when you're at the UCAS fairs. So you can see here some more about accreditation, study abroad, work placement, language pathways alongside your main degree. So These key areas are some things to ask about when you're talking to the universities. So if you're thinking about studying abroad or work placements, any of these really, ask at the UCAS stands and they will be able to give you more information. So just finally, the top 5 questions to ask at a UCAS fair. First up, if you don't know, ask about the location, find out where the university is, find out a little bit more about what the area is like, whether it would meet your needs. There are around about 150 universities now across the UK. Some cities and towns will have just one, other cities will have maybe 3, 4, 5. The university city that I went to had 5 higher education institutions in it. So it is important to find out a little bit more about your location. Is it the right distance from home? So questions to ask yourself that you may get some answers from the UCAS stand providers are, what are the transport links like? How often you might want to ask yourself, how often do I need to go home, and does that impact my decision? Find out how long is it going to take you to get there and how much is it going to cost. Now, these may not be exactly what the people on the stands can answer, so things like cost of travel and so on and so forth, but it's some things for you to consider as well after the UCAS events. You also want to ask yourself, what do you need from your location? So this can be split into key areas like accommodation, facilities, and the surrounding area. So these are some examples of the facilities at Aber. Again, facilities will vary from university to university dependent on the courses they offer, the research that they're doing, so on and so forth. Accommodation is also really important, particularly if you're planning on moving away for university. So again, ask them about what accommodation is available, the costs, how you apply for it. It's all about making sure you're prepared in advance. And finally, surrounding areas, and I've hinted about it already, but some key things to ask yourself are things like, where do I want to live? Is there enough to keep me busy for 3 years? And what part-time work opportunities are there at the university in the local area? These can all impact your decisions, and even though it has to be an individual decision, you may be able to find more information from the people you're speaking to at the UCAS fairs in order to answer your own questions. Another really key one is what support is available. So if you have any support needs, or there's any concerns that you may have, or you're just interested, ask about what support is available. Ultimately, universities will want to find the right support from the start for you. So ask in advance, and you can make sure that those things are put in place. And finally, industry collaboration and research. I would say this is probably becoming one of the biggest decision makers for students looking at universities. So find out what industry collaboration and research the universities are offering to their students. This may be individual to each course. Some universities will offer industry placement years as part of courses. We do that at Aber. Other universities will offer study abroad. Some may offer a combination, but find out about industry collaboration and research, and again, how that can impact you. If you've really got time to, and you're really interested, some other things you might want to think about is the size of the universities, security, the student experience, and cost of living. But these may be things that you think about after the UCAS fairs, after you've answered the main questions that you have from the universities. Finally, just to think about after your UCAS fair, because it will be mentioned a lot by universities while you're out at the Excel. Open days. Universities will be talking about their open days all the time. This is a really integral opportunity to meet academic staff, explore the facilities, see the university, see the local area. So once you've gone to the universities and maybe sort of reduced your list down to universities you think you maybe be applying to, then I would definitely say to look into the open days and try and sign up to them. But that is it from me. Thank you very much for listening. If you do have any questions, please do feel free to ask after the presentation or to get in touch with me. But I hope that's helped with preparing for your UCAS experience, so to say.
Thank you so much. That's lots of really, really interesting information in that. And lots of things, you know, as you mentioned earlier, you know, we've not probably done this for a year or two. And it's interesting how quickly we can forget about these things we need to do. Sorry, there's another meeting going on, so if you hear pingings, that's me. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now, everybody.